A great way to support independent creators is through Patreon. Also, if you'd like, you can send a one-time Cash App donation to S.T.V.Philly. We here at the channel appreciate every single ounce of support we've gotten thus far, and we'll keep it up as long as financially possible.
Red and black balloons flew high as the community chanted "Forever KJ."
Show him everything.
Emily Johnson, barely holding herself together, said becoming KJ's mother was the best decision she ever made.
I don't understand. I was hustling when I got pregnant with KJ. I gave it all up for KJ.
It paid off.
My whole day is consisted of basketball practice and football practice. I'm a soccer mom.
In the United States, where on average, at least one child is shot every hour of every day. Many survive, but many others do not. In Los Angeles, 11 teens under the age of 19 were fatally shot. In Chicago, that number was 59. In Philadelphia, 36. Black kids are more than 4 times as likely to die in shootings as white ones, according to CDC data. Though white kids are much more likely to use guns to take their own lives. Often, children killed by bullets are memorialized only by brief news reports or anguished obituaries. Gun-related injuries became the leading cause of death among children and adolescents in 2020, a new analysis found. The paper, published in March in the New England Journal of Medicine, analyzed CDC data, finding that firearm-related deaths surpassed vehicle crashes as the leading cause of death among the age group. The analysis says that firearm-related deaths among those ages 1 through 19 rose nearly 30% from 2019 to 2020, more than doubling the increase observed in the general population. 2021 numbers aren't available as of the time of this recording. Kwame Mitchell was a senior at West Philadelphia High School, a standout basketball player and something of a role model for younger teens in the neighborhood. The stellar athlete from Southwest Philly was weeks away from graduation the day he was killed. Mitchell was a speedy point guard who stood about 5'7", short for a basketball player by most standards, but with a big heart to make up for it. Kwame, by all accounts, was a good kid. He just wanted to play basketball, finish school, and get a college scholarship. Kwame was the soon-to-be adult that, if you had a younger teenager, you would point to him as an example of a guy to emulate. His coaches, teachers, parents, and friends all came back with the same words when describing Kwame: phenomenal. Some called him Day for short, or some called him Q5. He wasn't into any of that street life that has been terrorizing the community for the last 3 years. He did, however, live in a section of the city that has seen an unbelievable amount of violence, especially last year in 2021. At around 7:30 p.m., Philadelphia police officers responded to the 5600 block of Grays Avenue near Derridus Playground at 57th and Grays, found Kwame Mitchell lying in front of a residence. He was suffering from a gunshot wound. He didn't stand a chance as he was walking with a friend and dribbling a basketball. Kwame was transported to Children's Hospital, where he died that evening. His friend, a 13-year-old, suffered a gunshot wound to his arm. He was transported to Children's Hospital also for immediate treatment. Adrian Burke, Mitchell's basketball coach at West Philadelphia High, visited the crime scene on the 5600 block of Grays Avenue to offer a prayer for Q5. Burke had known the team for a decade, recalling his big heart, his love of basketball, and his tendencies to be dressed to the nines. He was phenomenal, Burke said, tears pulling in his eyes. Just a beautiful kid. He was so strong in his skin, and he knew who he was. Q5's death still remains unsolved. Just a few weeks before he died, KJ Johnson got his driver's license. His mom went to congratulate him on his great grades so far in high school, his accomplishments on the basketball and football court, and just being an all-around standout young man. On the fatal day of his death, he picked up a couple of friends, including his day one homie, Tommy Frazier, a snipe, and headed to play basketball on a Wednesday, a sunny afternoon in West Philadelphia. It was July 21st, 2021. Kalen Jahad Johnson was heading into his junior year at Boys Latin Charter School in West Philadelphia, while Frazier had enrolled at Simon Gratz High School in November. Jameer Shaw, a former dean at Harrity Elementary, said Johnson and Frazier both attended and were friends as children. He said they were passionate about sports and came from great families, noting that Johnson was the only child and best friends with his mother. Today, Shaw owns a West Philadelphia-based event equipment rental business, where Johnson was recently employed part-time and where Frazier had worked in the past. "You don't live in that neighborhood and I know them," said Shaw. "They had big personalities. You felt their energy. You knew when they were in the room. They should be at my funeral one day talking about the impact I had on their life, not the other way around," he said of K3 and Snipe. "It's so sad to see their stories end this way, because I was so excited to see where they'd go." In addition to being a standout basketball player, Johnson played football at Boys Latin. Pat Montgomery, the head football coach, described him as endearing. He said he spoke to members of his family Thursday and gave them space to grieve while telling them this can't be the norm. KJ was somebody's son. He was a lot of young men on that team's friend, a lot of young men in school's friend, somebody that teachers loved, Montgomery said. "That's why I say this can't be normal. This can't be accepted. You have a victim, but you also have a family behind them that are left to pick up the pieces." KJ and Tommy, while being mostly innocent young men, they kinda toyed with the streets, but definitely weren't in the streets. For instance, there's an ongoing beef between a set named YBC. YBC is at war with half of West Philly, it seems, because they have a lot of drama and ops, including 56th Street, with their most famous member being Young Liv, seen here dissing YBC.
With so much shots, he hitting like two different niggas. They rat infested, YBC, young bunch of chatting ass little niggas. I don't do no direct diss, but niggas talk too much, get off my diss. T.O. ain't go out the way, them bullets hit it.
YBC has a certain reputation in the bottom of West Philly of being particularly reckless. Tommy, or Snipe, and K3 is a friend of Young Liv. And K3 allegedly made a song dissing YBC. I never heard this song, but I've talked to people that said they heard it. It's nothing crazy, but YBC heard it too, allegedly. YBC also beefs with O to the 4 and Lil Bucks, who are also cool with 56th Street. When KJ and Tommy died, they also had in the car with them 2 O to the 4 members. KJ was also a heavy shit talker and had a lot of words with YBC members in the month leading up to his death. Tommy too. With all that said, they weren't in the streets at all, like I said before. But Philly, being the crazy ass city that it is, even dipping your toe into the streets can get you killed. And then dissed heavy.
In the back screen fro, 3 was at the light, he ain't go. Rizzy in the pack, he blow. I just put a switch on my pole. We don't double back, we hit his head stained over top when he fooled. This ain't the last lap, your man in pack, he shouldn't stop and go. Make sure that them niggas feel everything I said. If Rizzy never crossed the street, they probably never tapped his head. I don't even want the chain when I catch him, I want his dreads. Niggas can't even been up on the 9, they block red. Niggas can't been on the mott, them niggas scared. They on the rooftop, tell them get back for they foot soldier. Buddy got cooked, they hit him up with all
Bro, he ain't finished. Chase it down, put 2 up in his top, that's how we feelin'. They know they can't post up on their side or we gon' get them. Was out slipping in that ride, we had to blick him. The dead ops, how the fuck that boy still alive? He could've headshot. They told me don't, this the dead. I'm like, I can't stop. Throw buddy snipe all in the air, that's 3 different blocks. We done bit the whole fucking west, we looking for the ops. Q5 or K3 can't make no more jump shots. I could sell a pound so fast, all dead ops. Why you flexing like you got cash, knowing you dead pop? Obviously we cracking heads in the city.
We the ones that send the clappers up, we real clappers. Yeah, we the ones that rap with rappers up, we real rappers. Bro can't wait to let his Nina bust. We the reason niggas don't chill on the 9, we come through heated up. Q5s caught a headshot. Nigga mirror caught one to the neck. A snipe got caught up acting like us. He ain't making better. Fuck is Livy, tell him get up with me in the city. They know I get busy, glizzy with the swizzy and the
Dissing dead people, especially innocent victims and kids, is definitely one of the saddest things I had to witness in this city. It's a sickness that lives within a whole generation of young people who don't care if they live or die. They definitely don't care if you live or die. There's no reasoning with that mindset and self-hatred.
16-year-old Kaylin Johnson, best known as KJ, do not want him to be just another statistic. They tell me he was loved, he had so much going for him, and he was innocent in this. He was not the intended target, and yet he was struck by another senseless bullet.
Person that saved my life, that kept me off the streets. I wasn't there to save his.
The mom of 16-year-old Kaylin Johnson, known as KJ, says her last conversation with her son, he asked for permission like he always did before going somewhere, to go to the YMCA before work Wednesday, but he never made it there.
At 12:05, my son wasn't here no more. Man. My whole life was for him.
He was a kid that did not deserve what happened to him. Point blank, period.
In broad daylight, police say KJ was with 2 others in a car Wednesday when gunfire erupted. His friend, 18-year-old Tommy Frazier, also died at the hospital. Like many of KJ's friends, his mom, Emily Johnson, knew Tommy well.
But I have a lot of kids because of Kaylin.
KJ attended Boys Latin Charter School, the 6th student they have lost to gun violence in 5 years, and the 2nd in just a few months.
On September 18th, 2021, in a blog post called The Black Cager, DeGreco Wilson wrote about Sam Sessoms, a standout basketball player at Penn State. Sessoms and his family grew up down the bottom in Mantua, West Philly. Wilson goes on to write about how Sessoms overcame all the obstacles that the hood had to offer and was able to enjoy an incredible high school career at Shipley, where he averaged 28 points as a senior and finished his scholastic career with the school record 2,091 career point. Sessoms received all league and all mainline accolades all 4 years, and all state twice with first team honors as a senior. Wilson also went on to write about how Sam's 6-year-old sister was shot. On May 17, 2021, at approximately 3:30 p.m., Sessoms' 6-year-old sister was shot in the leg while playing with friends outside the family home on the 3800 block of Wyalusing Avenue. This was a high-profile shooting of an innocent child in broad daylight. Philadelphia Police Commissioner Daniel Outlaw noted that the girl's parents were inside a vehicle when the shots rang out. Some of those bullets did hit the windshield, but no other victims were struck. According to Outlaw, a group of men were running towards the children around the time of the shooting. We do know that there was information that there was a vehicle, a dark-colored sedan, that was following a group of males that were running prior to the shooting, said Outlaw.
A 6-year-old girl who was shot on a city street, caught in the crossfire, is out of the hospital tonight and home.
The young girl is at home tonight, resting comfortably, believe it or not. She's actually back up on her feet after a scary shooting outside her own home yesterday. Today, her father told us he's praising her courage.
She a soldier, you know, she held her own.
Less than 24 hours after being shot in the leg, a very brave 6-year-old girl limped to her home on Wyalusing Street Tuesday afternoon. Her parents, asking not to be identified, tell Fox 29, thankfully she's going to be okay.
As long as she's okay, I'm okay. So that's all that matters to me.
Police say the first grader was an innocent bystander simply riding her bike outside her home Monday just after 3 when gunshots rang out. She was shot once and raced to the hospital.
In and out situation, no major arteries, no major veins. You know, thank God for that. She good.
Want to open up a water ice stand, I can't even do that because I'm afraid for my kids to even be outside on their porch.
We can attribute it to the ongoing violence that's been plaguing the city and the ongoing gun violence between these groups.
On September 16th, 2021, exactly 4 months after his sister was shot in front of the family home, 2 shooters walked up onto the porch of the new family home and fired at least 8 shots into the home, striking Sesam's 19-year-old brother, Sidney, and his father, Sam Sr. His brother, Sidney, or Fro, later died at the hospital. His father is listed in critical but stable condition. As reported by 6abc.com, minutes after the gunfire rang out, police responded, and a witness was able to alert police to an area where the shooters fled. Soon after, officers found a male suspect running. That's when the suspect started shooting at the officers, according to investigators. We believe that the suspect fired at least 6 shots at 2 or 3 uniformed police officers, according to investigators.
The latest incidents of gun violence in Philadelphia has torn a family apart and put police in harm's way. Police were going after a suspect in a double shooting that killed a 19-year-old man when they came under fire themselves. 2 gunmen walked up to a front porch on the 2900 block of Weichel Street in the Port Richmond section last night. Police say the pair started shooting through a screen door. The teenager was fatally shot, along with a 49-year-old man believed to be his father. Police arrived on the scene quickly and were alerted to an area where people said a suspect had fled. That's when they themselves faced that gunfire.
So we believe that our suspect fired at least 6 shots at 2 or 3 full uniform police officers. They are very, very lucky they didn't get hit. They didn't even return fire because there were a lot of people out on the streets, but they did chase this individual.
Police officers found the suspect hiding under a vehicle with a handgun and placed him in custody.
All this happened amid a record year of gun violence in the city. 562 people died last year from homicides, 89% by handgun. Gun violence has a significant impact on everything in the city, from safety and the economy to the city budget and mental health. 2,332 people were shot in 2021. The previous single-year homicide peak was 500 in 1990. 80% of 2021 homicide victims were black. Black men between the ages of 18 and 34 were most affected, accounting for 280 homicides. 41 children under the age of 18 were killed in 2021. Reyes Sherman was arrested in April and charged with murder and conspiracy for his roles in the death of Kaylin Johnson and Tommy Frazier, said police. He had been jailed since January on unrelated gun charges when he was arrested with an AK, police said. Arshad Curry was rearrested in December while in custody for his alleged role in the teen's death. Detectives tied Curry to the shootings after interviewing a witness who said he was an associate of a man with the nickname Most Wanted, who police believe is Curry. The witness said Curry told him he shot the victims, but they were not his intended target. According to court papers, investigators believe Curry and Sherman, driving a blue minivan owned by Sherman's mother, followed the teens from school. When the victim's car was stopped at a red light, police said, Curry jumped out and fired at the driver's side at least 17 times, fatally striking Johnson and Frazier and injuring another 16-year-old. Sherman, who investigators believe goes by the nickname F5, drove the getaway car, police said. It's a tragic situation any way you look at it. There are no winners in this case, said Sherman's lawyer, Douglas Dolphin. But we will vehemently defend the charges at every level, and hopefully we will be successful. Curry was taken into police custody September 16th, shortly after police said he pumped bullets into a Port Richmond home from the streets, hitting Sydney Fro Sessoms in the face. Sessoms was taken to the hospital and died shortly after. Sessoms' father, once again, was also wounded in the gunfire. Police said 2 officers chased after Curry, who then fired towards them. The officers were not injured. Curry was charged with murder, attempted murder, and 2 counts of attempted murder of a police officer in connection with that incident, records show. Sherman and Curry are both being held without bail at CFCF and are both innocent until proven guilty.
Bitch, I pop out the cut like I'm Jack in a box. And murder what she wrote, another body for the block. And murder what she wrote, another body for the block. How y'all mad at us cause we like to bend a lot? How y'all mad at us cause y'all homie is a goner? Don't stop before when we bending on them corners.
DOA dead on a rival, we can't have a fighter. How you a camper, you ain't hit shit with a lighter. I'm like, fuck it, I don't know what got into me. 2 men on that drill with a whole lot of chemistry. Bro be chasing ops, they don't like bitches chasing Hennessy. Staying over top and ask that boy, do he remember me? That hot shit hit his body, now it's clogging up his pores. Boy, you ain't no killer, they send you right to the store. When we catch him lagging, we send that boy to the morgue. We got a lot of dead out, but bitch, we want some more, let's up the score. Got my shooter with me, riding shoddy. Like Megan Thee Stallion said, we got somebody out.
Trying to catch a body, you try snipe a sniper, you could go up there, me time me, How about that like that Millie jump all on his body, And that stolen V-looking flies where you can find me, We don't do no rat cat, little boy, hot body and hit hacks. Why you make it this check and you ain't need come get me?
Off getting followed, why the fuck y'all niggas stop? They scored on K3, they hit him for the shot clock. This broke ass died drinking lean, he wasn't even sipping water.
Well, actually, but his love was really with football.
Every sport you could think of. He was good at all of them.
He's the definition of a free athlete.
I seen him when I was coming home from workouts, and he beeped his horn at me and laughed.
Tanaj Walker spoke with KJ just days before he was murdered.
Sad that I wasn't able to have more conversation with him.
Just 2 weeks before graduation, Kwamir, known as Day Day, was shot and killed around 7:30 Thursday night near the playground at Ithan Street and Grays Avenue. A 13-year-old was also hurt. Councilman Kenyatta Johnson came back Friday for a Peace Not Guns safety walk in a neighborhood usually considered quiet.
You figure that I'm going to the court so he'd be safe, And, it's really rough on the family right now.
He was like a son to me.
Kwamir's former coaches say West Philly's Christie Recreation Center is where he started playing basketball. Friday nights, it's now home to a skills and drills clinic with local coaches, schools, and Philly police. A positive and safe way for kids to kick off the weekend to prevent the violence that ripped Kwamir's life away.
For more on YBC and the carnage they are involved in, be sure to check out my Patreon, where tomorrow I will release a follow-up to this video, mainly talking more about my thoughts on the young men who are perpetrating and the victims of record amounts of gun violence, focusing on these crimes in particular. How the media doesn't want you to know what's really going on in terms of the gangs and the sets and the block alliances that are going on within Philadelphia, and why some of those reasons might be.